Hi everyone, it's day 17 and I missed a lot of videos in the last days. It was difficult to uh, challenge myself to do something having to do with intonation, imitation, and but today's theme is about reading an extract from a book, and I wanted to try this out. So I chose a book from Walter Moers, who is a German writer that I like very much. It's a book for children. It's called The 13 and a Half Lives of Captain Bluebear, and so here we go. The younger you are, the more excruciating boredom becomes. Seconds scroll by like minutes, minutes like hours. You feel you're being stretched on the rack, a time rack as it were, and very slowly torn apart. An infinite succession of wavelets splashes past. The sky is a bright blue vault of infinite extent. If you're relatively inexperienced seafarer and you watch the horizon, you feel it must disclose something breathtaking at any moment. But all that awaits you beyond is another horizon. You have welcomed any diversion. I would have welcomed any diversion. A storm, a seaquake, a terrible sea monster. But all I saw for weeks on end were waves, sky, and horizons. I was beginning to yearn for the hobgoblin's nauseating company when the situation changed dramatically. Although there was little wind, the sea had been unusually agitated for some days. The calm green water had transformed itself into a turmoil of grey foam. The air was filled with soot and the smell of rusty metal. Hopping excitedly to and from on my raft, I vainly strove to discover the cause of it all. Then came a sound like never-ending thunder. It drew nearer and nearer, and the sky grew darker by the minute. I had my longed-for storm at last. The SS Moloch. Or so I thought, until a huge black iron ship appeared in the distance. She had at least 1,000 funnels, so tall that their tops were hidden by the smoke that rose from them. Soot entirely obscured the sky and turned the sea the color of Indian ink, thanks to the smoke that kept raining down that came raining down on it like black snow. At first, I thought the ship had come straight from hell to crush me. She seems to be bearing down on me so purposefully. When I was lifted by the bow wave and swept aside like a cork, then I was lifted by the bow wave and swept aside like a cork. I could now observe the iron colossus from a safe distance, as it glided by like a dark mountain of metal. The screws that propelled it must have been bigger than windmills. I don't know how long the ship took to sail right past and disappear from view, but it must have been about a day and a night. Not that I knew it at the time. She was the SS Moloch, the largest ship that ever sailed the seas. I passed just a few lines. At night, thousands of portholes, the windows of that floating metropolis, shone brighter than the stars. The pounding of the engines was deafening. They sounded like an ironclad army tramping across the ocean. During the daytime, I tried to spot some of the crew, but the deck was so far above me, I could scarcely make out the thing. Whenever distant figures came to the rail and threw garbage over the side, as they dipped from time to time, I set up a tremendous hullabaloo. I yelled and gesticulated, jumped up and down on the raft and waved my palm leaf sail, but my efforts were as futile as the many pirates' attempts to board a merchantman. They weren't without their dangers too. One On more than one occasion, I was almost sucked into the wash of the gigantic propellers, and swarms of sharks crawled around the hull to fight for the scraps of food that were forever being thrown overboard. At times, the creatures were so numerous that I could have walked the ships across their backs. A voice in my head. But the most astonishing feature was something else. In spite of the huge vessel's monstrous ugliness, it held a mysterious fascination for me. There was no discernible reason for this. Although the ship was repulsive in every way, my dearest wish was to sail the seas near her. This desire has taken root in me when the Moloch first appeared on the horizon, a tiny speck growing bigger the nearer she came. While she was passing my raft, it became positively overpowering. "Come," said a voice in my head. "Come aboard the Moloch." The words had an unearthly ring, as if uttered by some disembodied being in the world hereafter. "Come," it said, "come aboard the Moloch." I should have liked nothing better than to obey its summons. I now know it was my good fortune that the sharks formed an unsurmountable barrier between me and the ship, but at the time it nearly broke my little heart to watch the Moloch sail away. "Come, come aboard the Moloch." The gigantic ship eventually disappeared from my view, but the sky remained dark for a long time to come, like the aftermath of a receding storm. The voice in my head grew ever fainter. "Come," it said very softly. "Come aboard the Moloch." Then they were gone, both the ship and the voice. It saddened me somehow to think I would never see the Moloch again. I wasn't to know that what important part she would play in one of my lives. And that will be it for today. Thank you for listening. Bye.